Yes, Hake is live, not testing, and nobody made a mistake. I changed my social alerts to when we stream. That at first it was going, Hake is live every time I started streaming, and then I changed it to be Boomer Tech. It would send out a tweet and a Facebook post, and now it says, Hake is live, testing, or someone made a mistake. Just to be safe, you know? But we are live. What's up, everybody? I see you D-Live, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, and Twitch should be connecting shortly. And of course, hopefully on TalkStream Live, I am streaming. And you can also go to thehakereport.com/show, which has the Jesse Lee Peterson player, that also audio player, that is, live audio player, which also resides embedded in the web page, listen page of jesseleepeterson.com/show. You click listen, go to the listen page, and there's a player there that plays Jesse's show 20 hours a day. Well, actually, it would probably be 19 or 18 hours a day. But while it's live, it's playing Jesse live, and then it plays me live. Cool, huh? Yes, 3 minutes late, says Brandon F. I have quite a show for you guys. I missed yesterday. I apologize. We were working through technical issues, and so I couldn't do a live show, and I didn't have any real replays that I wanted to play. I guess I could have redone the Chris Cantwell interview. That might have been fun, but I don't know if it was. I don't even remember most of the interview. Did you know that I interviewed Christopher Cantwell? I did, but YouTube removed it or put it in, like, you have to be able to just know how to find it. You can't search for it. It is crazy. It might be removed entirely. I forget. I do have calls to get to, and it is Friday, not July anymore, August 7th, 2020. What's up, Twitch? I see you guys are connected. And it's 9:05 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. Let's get started with the show. I have quite a show for you.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, la la la.
I said August 7th, right? August 7th? I didn't mean to say July 7th. Did I say July again? Whatever. Based America first. Thanks for catching it if I messed up. It is August. It is Men's History Month. And thank God we have a man in office for president right now. President Donald Trump. And, you know, by the way, we have The Fallen State coming out today. The Fallen State coming out at noon. I say we, meaning the Bond crew, JLP crew, the Fallen State people, are putting out a Fallen State premiere. And JLP Plays is out today. Guys, make sure you're supporting on Periscope or Subscribestar or whatever. I think we stream it live. That's where Jesse Lee Peterson is a gamer. And of course, Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. I'm no longer on Sundays at 9 a.m. on my show. You can catch Samuel Freiholtz, assuming that he is going to stream his second show, his second weekly show this Sunday. I don't know. But Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church. And wow, thank you, Based America First, Based AF. Gave a ninjet that says Re-Education Camp Escape Vehicle, and he gave a ninjet. And a ninjet is a very generous super chat gift. Donation on D-Live. Appreciate that, man. That's cool. Evgeny Crosby gave a diamond and said, Christopher Hahn is ticked. And Christopher Hahn is the man whom Jesse Lee Peterson called a beta male on Chinese TV. It was a great interview. Excellent. Check it out. It's available edited properly so that you don't have to, scrub around on the video. Nick put it out on Jesse Lee Peterson's channel. Yes, Jesse Lee Peterson still has a YouTube channel. He's just not allowed to stream live on it currently. We shall see what happens. And Evgeny Crosby says, now stalking your chat room, betas. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Today's game, Nick says, is, shall I say it? Shall I spoil it? Spoiler alert. Gang Beasts. Dang. So get pumped, those of you who know what Gang Beasts is. And if you don't, I'm sure it will still be, it'll still be good. All right. The mainstream media is more destructive than the Daily Stormer, right? Have you ever heard of the Daily Stormer? Daily Stormer is known as they call it a neo-Nazi, white supremacist, racist troll website and stuff like that. And I don't know what all they allege, but the mainstream media is way worse than them. First of all, they have much more influence over the minds of the people by lying to them about this fake racism thing, stoking riots, stoking wars. They love to encourage wars. And it's all over false narratives most of the time. They're not about truth. These people who, yes, they may be about facts, but it's cherry-picked facts, and they're not about the truth. These journalists who make up the mainstream media, they're phony people. I was reading about President Trump's recent interview, which I talked about a little bit. I happened to just visit Daily Stormer, right? Because you hear about people that get censored on social media, and the Daily Stormer is a censored website. It is not approved by YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or any platform, right? Because they are so-called racist, which is worse than murder and war over false pretenses and riots over false pretenses and all that stuff. And yes, of course, I acknowledge that whites have committed murders in the name of whiteness too, right? But I don't know if anybody from Daily Stormer has. But anyways, I was reading about Trump's interview on there. I just happened to just peruse it, right? dailystormer.su. Not that I endorse it. I don't know much about it. But it's a mixture of free speech and true speech. And it does have edgy, harsh words on it. Not for kids, because it has a lot of bad words, I guess. But it's a mixture of free speech and true speech. It does have some true factual information on it. I was reading this article by this man named Andrew Anglin in Daily Stormer, and I was chuckling during the introduction of my intro, where Joel was playing a little slideshow for you guys to preview what I might be covering. And the title of his article is President Trump Destroys Australian F-beep. Not the full-blown F word, but the F word that's for homosexual, right? It's like a bad word, right? Considered. From Axios. Oh, by the way, the header of their website, the current header of their website, put that back up. It has something true on it. It says, warning, if Donald Trump doesn't win this election, the police will be abolished, blacks will come to your house and kill you and your family, and the media will not report it. If your friends post about it on social media, they will be arrested for hate speech. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about basic survival. So therefore, President Trump getting elected to prevent the insane mob from going crazy. And we've seen them going crazy. What they're predicting, no one can predict the future, right? But what they're predicting sounds like it sounds not out of reality. It's kind of like what's happening in South Africa already. the mainstream media, the American mainstream media, denounced Trump as repeating white supremacist talking points about, or white supremacist conspiracy theories about what's going on in South Africa, when they're just not facing what's really happening in South Africa. And they're not facing what's really happening in America. That's why I say that the mainstream media is more destructive than Daily Stormer. A website like Daily Stormer, or, any website that's maybe extreme in some cases or at some points in time, because people change, right? Sometimes people change. Not always, but sometimes people change. Is a reaction to and a reaction against and a result of what's going on in the mainstream media, the lies that are being pushed. I have heard that this guy, Andrew Anglin, was in hiding because there's all kinds of attacks on him because allegedly he, according to news reports, right, which you don't know what the truth really is, he is sicked trolls on poor journalists. And I don't know what the truth is. Maybe in his past he was an edgy person and maybe vindictive. I don't know. But you know how people say, you'll hear responsible conservative guys say, don't go harass these people. Well, maybe he didn't say that enough or something like that. And so a bunch of angry young people went and harassed some people online or threatened their family or something like that. You never know, because there's nutty people across all viewpoints. There are. I just got logged out of my Restream chat. Let me log back in so I can see what you guys are saying. But anyway, the point is, it was actually a interesting review of this interview between President Donald Trump and this guy from Axios, which is in bed with HBO. Man, hold on. Let me try to get in. They're in bed with HBO. They're founded by the same guy who founded Politico and all that stuff. They're a sick group, Axios. They're not a legitimate news source for the most part. Yeah, I mean, they have some factual information, like I always say, about these big, well-funded organizations. They can pay guys to go out and gather facts and write it and stuff like that. But the people that they employ and their motives themselves, left-wing motives. Their whole mindset is a false. They can't see. they have a twisted view of the world. Just like that woman who, Oprah, talking about, all of our problems. This caste book is going to solve all of our problems. No, that's not true. It's a completely twisted anti-American mindset, what most of these mainstream media people are about. Sick. And so, in one case, here is a excerpt from this article. On the topic of Black Lives Matter, Trump said, police kill white people too. But he didn't have the statistics ready and let Swan, meaning this guy Jonathan Swan, and Anglin calls him basically calls him a homosexual, but he is married to a woman. I think he just means that he's weak or female-minded. Maybe that's what he means. I don't endorse calling people that necessarily. Anyways, Trump said police kill white people too, but Swan was allowed by Trump to pass the fake news lie that there are proportionally more blacks killed by cops than whites. And he calls that a total hoax. And that is true because if you consider the criminality of black people and the nasty attitude inbred in them from childhood for generations now by blacks and against whites, and the disproportionate tendency to cry racism all the time, You don't even honestly need any of the statistics. You just common sense, common experience. If you've encountered if you've encountered 5 blacks in your life, chances are you've heard at least one of them cry racism. Anyways, well, this is from Wikipedia, right? Because I looked up this Jonathan Swan guy in Wikipedia because I was like, does Andrew Anglin know something about Jonathan Swan that I don't know? Because he called him that homosexual word. But he's not, at least not that I can tell. And shouldn't spread rumors about him. Anyways, in August 2020, this is according to Wikipedia, which is a leftist slant mainstream source, right? You can't, like, ordinary people can have an influence on it, but you have to be like strict to the facts and not have an obvious, you can't be too truthful, basically. Swan was praised for the manner in which he had conducted an interview with President Trump. During the interview, Swan pointedly questioned and fact-checked numerous false, misleading, or bizarre statements as the president spoke them. Well, this is where I'm telling you guys the mainstream media is more destructive. Misleading is the BLM narrative, Black Lives Matter narrative, which the mainstream media supports and spreads and touts as true, and supported by so-called journalists who know better, or should know better. I think they do know better. I cut some of the black journalists some slack because they, it's in all of my conversations with blacks who believe this dumb lie by Black Lives Matter that blacks are disproportionately targeted and killed by police, right? Hunted by whites and police. That it doesn't account for the criminality of them and the bad attitudes and the resisting arrest, and it's so common for them to fight cops and attack cops, and they're more likely to kill cops by many factors. Whatever you call it. They're 40% of cop killers, 13% of the population, according to a 10-year span, right? A recent 10-year span. 40% of cop killers were black. And they're only 13% of the population. The black males being 6%. I think black males were most of the cop killers of the blacks who did kill cops. I would think. But, when I've talked with blacks about this, they can't get it through their head. They think white on white crime is 80%. And they literally think, I don't know if they think it. I don't know if they're just this blind or if they're just stubborn. They are stubborn. But that whites commit just as much white on white crime as blacks commit black on black crime. It's so not true. Anyways, there is more blacks killing other blacks. There's more blacks killing other whites than whites killing whites or whites killing blacks. Pretty sure. Even in raw numbers, not just as a proportion of their population. If you go by a proportion of the population, they're like many times more likely to, they're like 11, 12 times as likely to kill whites as whites are to kill blacks. Blacks are. It's crazy. Anyways, but the mainstream media is promoting this lie, and they're pushing this false communism as the solution rather than responsibility and looking within and getting over anger that's your problem, not the world's problem, not the whites' problem. Sick. They're also misdiagnosing the issue as mental health. I've told you guys in Hake News that I've started looking at Revolver News. Revolver.news. I still look at Drudge mainly, but I do check out Revolver.news. Mental health is going haywire thanks to globalist lockdowns, right? That's a Revolver headline. Revolver.news. It's affected babies' development, according to Daily Mail, which is a tabloid leftist website. People pretend that they're conservative. They're not. According to a survey of 5,500 parents, mothers say their children have become clingy, upset, and violent because they're hanging around the mothers more, maybe. Interesting. That's within the UK. And also, there's probably, is there a white minority of babies in the UK as well? Because the minors, amongst minors, people under 18 or at least people under 16, the whites are a minority. The non-whites are the majority. It's gross. So anyways, I wanted to tell you guys about this conservative male who has committed suicide. This guy named Mike Adams. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later. I want to get to some calls. Want to double check the super chats. Shout out to Asmodor for hosting the show. Thank you, man. And Jesse Lee Peterson. That's cool. Joe Maddox says, congrats on using sources other than Drudge and CNN. Thank you, man. Yeah, because I use CNN emails to me and the Skim. Don't forget the Skim. It's easily kind of a forgettable website, but they send you daily emails, and it's female written, and it's for females, and it is leftist. Every bit as much as CNN or ABC or NBC, all that stuff. Dramatic gave a Ninja Genie and said, since they thought it foolish to acknowledge God, he gave them up to a reprobate mind. Yeah, that is what's happening. That is what's happened with these people who are, whether they are highly educated or uneducated, the people in darkness, probably all of us who aren't, who are unreprobate are like that, believe it or not. And that's why I like the pointing back at you and me type of message. But you know, like, you don't really need to know a lot of statistics. You just, it's common sense. Like for example, with this black versus white thing, everybody just kind of knows that blacks have this hostility towards whites and towards cops. And they bring these issues upon themselves. And so, of course, they're going to suffer from disproportionate false accusations. And they do suffer from false accusations. From all different races, too, especially their own. They get framed for stuff, especially when the justice system is corrupt, by a bunch of liberals. Crazy. Somebody mentioning malt liquor. Anyways, let me just double check the Streamlabs. I do have Streamlabs. I cannot accept YouTube super chats, although shout out to my intern man, my de facto, I don't know if you want to call him my de facto producer, my new de facto producer. My old de facto producer was Dylon. He did a great job, but he's off doing his own thing now. But I have a new de facto producer. And he has been cleaning up my YouTube channel, cleaning up the language in the titles and descriptions. And so hopefully it will be more palatable and it will be accepting super chats someday in the future. If it doesn't get kicked off entirely. Who knows, right? Who knows what the future holds, but giving it the college try, right? So, streamlabs.com/the Hake Report in the meantime, or dlive.tv/Hake Report in the meantime. Appreciate it, guys. So, let me get to Samuel in Sweden, who's been on hold for some time. Samuel, it's nice to hear from you. What's up?
I'm well, actually. I'm looking forward a nice Saturday and Sunday.
Right on.
After a week of work. Cool.
You're 9 hours ahead of us? What time is it in Sweden right now?
Well, the time is it's half. Let's see, 6:30.
Right.
P.m.
Okay. Sounds like 9 hours for me, because it's 9:30 over here, roughly.
Yeah. Yes, it's correct. 9 hours. Well, you give me shout-outs almost every day now, so I just felt I had to call in at least once here.
Oh, right on. Appreciate that. Well, you're welcome. I enjoyed your show, And so did
Thanks.
some of the other people over here on this side of the world.
Yeah, the reaction has been pretty intense. I have over 200 views on that stream, and
Nice.
I got over 50 subscribers now, and I have my stream for this next Sunday is out, and you can press the bell if you want to have a notice when it goes live.
Cool.
And I also gave it a title. It's Soldiers of Christ Arise. There is actually a hymn with that title, and I read many articles and things about standing up, and there was even a pastor in Canada now that got this 3 months prison. He risked getting 3 years prison, but they finally gave him. And I mean, that's for having a church, for letting people come to a church. And I talked with a person that mentioned it and said, well, he can't break the law and do that thing. And I said, if you're a Christian, you have to break the law, and because the government can't stop Christians from meeting. I mean,
Right.
that's what they try to do in first Christianity.
Right.
They involve them a bit.
That's so true. It's crazy. They're just so full of hate. Anyways, looking forward to it, and thank you for the shout outs to my show and Jesse Lee Peterson and Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. That's cool.
Yeah, I try to get even better, having more information, because I want to be an information hub to Jesse Lee Peterson and to you, Hake Show. So I try to be even better at it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Samuel. Happy Men's History Month to you.
Yeah, thanks, the same.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Let me quickly get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. Rick, it's good to hear from you. Thank you for holding. What's up?
Good to hear from you, James. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, man, I just want to comment, man. You know where black victimization comes from?
You know, I don't know. I think it just comes from sin.
You know what it comes from? First, it starts with the parents. Hey, you can't do nothing. You got to work twice as hard as white folks, all that stuff. So, you know, they get it from home first.
That's just one way of many that it can come. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's one. And then, I ain't finished yet.
Yeah.
Then it goes to the black Baptist pastors. Then they have them putting all that mess in it, because like that pastor.
Rick, back off your phone a little bit. You're blowing it.
Oh, okay. Can you? Well, how about now, James?
That's better.
Yeah, and then the black pastors and the black Baptist churches, most of them enforce it in. Then after that, the public school system.
Yep.
After the public school system, it's the black organization, like the NAACP Urban League and stuff like that.
Yep.
And that's how they can't help but to be that, because that pastor who I know it's a rerun, but that pastor was talking about now the liberals come up with a new word, systematic racism.
Yeah.
And when you ask them to show you, like, how has it affected you, they always say, it ain't about me. Well, you can't testify nothing didn't affect you.
Right.
And they can never tell you how it affected. I mean, like, can you buy a house? Can you go buy a car? Are you overtaxed? Can you go where you want to go? How are you oppressed?
Yeah, they're blind. That's why you have to be patient with them, because they have had, think about the whole world has colluded to lie to them and just undermine their natural ability and natural sense of responsibility. That includes not just the black world, but the whites are even kissing up to that, many of them. And the fellow whites and everybody sick. And then all the
worst thing, go ahead. I'm sorry, James.
I said, and then all the other POCs are kissing up to them as well sometimes.
Yeah, man.
When they want to use them. Yep.
Oh man, James, it's so terrible, man. It's like the worst thing to me that hurts the black community is black liberals and white liberals.
But they're no
victimization. What?
but they're no victims even of that propaganda, because once they're adults, when they're kids, you can say that they're victimized by this victim ideology, but once they're adults, they're no longer being victimized. Yes, they're being exploited, but they're suckers at that point.
Yeah, it's just embedded in them. They just they hear from CNN so much, and that's all CNN does is tell them, now you got systematic racism. I guess next year going to be super racism.
I know.
I always come up with a new name, man. And I said, how you can prove this? I mean, I'm a heat and air conditioning guy by trade, James. Any school I want to go to, I can go to if I have the money. Any house I want to buy, if I can buy the biggest mansion in the world if I get the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll be saying, what are you guys talking about?
It's awful.
I haven't experienced it. And it's like, I just want to know where it's coming from. Okay, show me how it affected you. Then, then maybe you can have a better testimony. It's like a salesman. I'm not going to come stay back and claim I don't own one.
They make it up from their imaginations. Like they can, they think that they're mind readers. They see a look on a white guy's face and they assume that that the white guy's motivated by racism. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know, man. I met some. You got a lot of white people want to help blacks, but shoot, they like afraid of them, man, because they gonna either charge them with racism. Do you understand, man? I mean, like. The reason why, if it is a struggle, most times blacks struggle because they have a whole bunch of kids out of wedlock and can't afford to take care of them.
Oftentimes, that's true.
And it's sad, but that's the case most of the time. You got 2 or 3 kids, no dad, and you're on the system, and yeah, you are struggling.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Rick. It's nice to hear from you. Happy Men's.
Good to hear from you. Yeah,
Happy Men's History Month.
Good weekend. Hey, thanks a lot. Same to you, James, and love you guys. Y'all keep up the good work, man. Hey, you know what? One day, James,
yeah,
I would love with me's one day, and I promise you, we won't be arguing.
What?
But we'll just be like,
what about
debate with me's?
You want to debate with Mays? Okay.
Yeah, I would love to have that because she called me crazy last Friday.
Okay. All right. I will keep that in mind. Thank you for the offer, man. Take care.
No problem, James. Love you. God bless you.
All right, you as well. Let me quickly get to KT in Washington, D.C. KT, it's good to hear from you. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, James? Good. How have you been?
I've been fine, but no man is good. It's in the Bible.
It's true.
So what's up?
So I just want to talk about that guy you were talking about with Jesse. What's his name? Emmanuel Achu.
Yeah. Nick called him Acco. Is it Acco?
Oh, Acco. I have no idea.
Achu, whatever. ACHO. Yep.
Yeah. So are you familiar with Chip and Joe Gaines?
No.
Chip and Joe Gaines. So they're those remodeling couples on HGTV that they go to this, they do house remodels, they do all this stuff.
Okay, so all right. I feel like I sort of recognize that name. So they're involved in that, in like the reality TV,
exactly. Yes.
Fix My Home type stuff. And by the way, just to remind the people about Emmanuel Acho and the Oprah thing. Emmanuel Acho appeared on the Oprah network on a program, and he's a former football player, a male, talking about racism and white people who grew up in only around whites their children become part of the problem because they have no culture, and racism and oppression are real, and knowledge. He quotes the Bible as being, with much knowledge comes much vexation and stuff like that. And it was just ridiculous and insane. So that's what prompted you to call in. Anyways, you're talking about this remodeling couple.
Yeah, so they're pretty big. They actually, I'm surprised you don't know. You've never heard of them. They're big. They're a household name. They have this big show on HGTV. They're based in Waco, Texas. So my wife.
Are they white or black or?
Yeah, the husband's white and the wife is Korean and white.
Okay.
So they have kids that look white but look Asian. So it's just a
right.
little confusing.
Okay.
But anyway, so my wife is a huge fan, right? And she follows him on Instagram, and she was showing me this video. They hosted that guy, Emmanuel Acho. They had a show together with him and their kids. And he was telling their kids about racism. They were all talking about racism and all this crap. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was really disappointed in them because I thought they were better than that.
Yeah.
But what was really saddening was actually nice at the same time. One of their kids asked this Emmanuel Acho guy, "Are you scared of white people?" I was like, wow, that
Nice.
was such a good question coming from a 12, 13-year-old little girl.
Yeah.
You know? And he kind of danced around it. You know, he
Wow.
kind of took a breath and danced around it. But the whole process was just, you could see the joy and the light just dying down from these kids. You know, it's just,
Right.
I don't know why parents would put their kids in such situations. But it's amazing.
You know, I follow this man named Vincent James on Telegram. I think he was kicked off of Twitter. He's of the Red Elephants. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show.
I follow him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I follow him.
and he shared this YouTube video, kids YouTube video, of this cartoon called Arthur. And Arthur is like an anteater or an armadillo or something like that, right? But it's a cartoon character. And so Arthur is having like a Skype conversation or something with this other cartoon character in this high-pitched, childish voice, right? This is a children's cartoon TV show that's been around for years, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, I didn't even watch the whole video. I tweeted it out and shared it on my Telegram, the Hake Report. But it said something like, "Did you watch that video? Yeah, nobody should be treated like that just because they're black." And I'm like, what is this? And then they're talking about racism is so bad or something along those lines, right? And so it's this child targeting propaganda of a lie of false black victimhood, and it's attacking, and it, implied is an attack on white, so-called racism. And it reminds me of what you just told me about these people exposing their children to this smear on whites and on America and on cops and stuff.
Right.
It's crazy.
And
But that's abusive. Anyways.
Yeah, I know. And I just had an epiphany a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah.
You know, I live in a county that's 98% white.
Nice.
And it's beautiful
Kind of.
out here. And my neighbors out here inviting me over for drinks and putting. Yeah, I had a couple of days ago. I had a neighbor just drop off little cookies by the door. It's just people just do good things here. And what dawned on me was, I think white people. I mean, I know white people don't hate black people. The only reason that they're kind of put off by black people is just because it's because of the black people's behavior, right?
Right.
It's not that they don't hate black people for who they are, for whatever skin color they are. They hate. I mean, they're just kind of put off by just that hateful behavior that comes from the blacks. So it's
Right.
not. I mean, some people might say it's a two-way thing or whatever, or hate is taught in the house. No, it's not taught.
I know.
It's not.
Yeah.
They just see how these blacks are acting, and that's why they act the way they act. They segregate themselves. They go into these communities. They segregate themselves from the blacks, and the blacks see this, and they say, "Oh, these whites are segregating against us. They're racist or they're hateful." Blah blah blah.
Like blacks don't segregate. It's so retarded.
Exactly right.
Yeah, they don't have to have their black churches. They could come to the white churches, and the whites would accept them. They would be too
Exactly right.
accepting, in fact.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I think that the whites do hate them, but it's not the type of hatred that they're thinking. It's the type of
Exactly.
hatred that's kissing up is hatred, and
Yeah.
and this the fear that Jesse Lee Peterson talks about so much is a form of hatred. This not telling them the truth that and standing on what's right is a form of hatred. But
Right.
yeah, you're so right about that. You were
Anyway,
telling weren't you the one who was telling me about the children of these whites were doing this Black Lives Matter support stuff?
Oh my, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh,
So they hate
great
their
thing.
kids because they're letting their kids go astray.
Great thing you bring that up, because when I looked in the chat after the show, some people were saying, maybe the other, they're probably 1% liberal. Those are kids from the 1% liberal homes. But no, I know there's kids. This kids are coming from conservative homes.
Right.
I know them.
Yep.
So, conservatives, so-called conservatives are failing on that aspect.
And you know what? It doesn't matter whether those conservatives are active politically, they're the activist type of conservatives who are trying to fight so-called the good fight, or not, because those who are trying to fight the good fight are doing it frequently in the wrong way. It's a turnoff to the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many people are in a they are on one hand earlier they don't care, and then later when they care too much, and they don't do things right.
Exactly.
Appreciate it, KT. Happy Men's History Month, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Hey, happy Men's History Month. Oh, by the way, so how can we support the show since you've been demonetized?
So you can't do it on YouTube anymore. You can go over to D Live if you don't mind going to dlive.tv/The Hake Report.
I just can't do. I don't know. It's a little gamey for me.
Yeah.
Graphics and all this thing. It's just not user friendly.
Or you can do it through streamlabs.com/The Hake Report, which is either a tip. You just give a little tip through. I think it's through PayPal or whatever your choice. Or I think it also embeds the YouTube video in there. For Jesse Lee Peterson's Streamlabs, you can do it on there too, on Streamlabs, but then he's not able to stream through YouTube, so it's kind of, you have to do it in a separate window from whatever you're listening on. I don't know if you listen on your phone or on a desktop computer. So, I will give you guys a tip that Periscope is nice because you can have a setting that it plays back audio in the background so that when you go away from the app, you don't lose the show. The show audio continues even if you go to some other, like, if you go to Streamlabs or PayPal or whatever, you can still do stuff on your phone. So,
all right,
nice little tip.
Good, man.
Appreciate it, KT.
Man. All right, have a great weekend.
You as well. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. So, let me just try to cover this. Conservative male, and I say male on purpose, commits suicide. Let me see if I can run through this. I got this from revolver.news. Hey, nice, huh? Not just covering Drudge. I don't even know if this was covered in Drudge. So it's an article, and the headline from revolver.news says, "Remembering Mike Adams, R.I.P." And R.I.P. stands for rest in peace, for those of you who don't know. And so longtime conservative writer, friend of Jesse Lee Peterson of sorts, right? Michelle Malkin wrote a column in Unz Review. I don't know how you pronounce it. UNZ Review. It's a word. Unz Review. That's where she's writing her columns nowadays, right? About this man, Mike Adams. Michael something, and then Mike Adams. On July 29th, she wrote this article. So it was late last month that this happened. And her article is Mike Adams, doer of the word. So she's calling him a doer of the word. It's just a reference to, I guess, in the Bible, in the book of James, which I was forced to memorize as a third grader when I was homeschooled by my mother. But it says, be doers of the word, not just hearers of the word. Isn't that so common that, like, you like listening to Jesse Lee Peterson or your favorite preacher or the Bible, whatever? You're like, that sounds so nice. and then you go and you continue to live degenerate. Well, this man, according to Michelle Malkin, was a doer of the word, meaning the word of God, right? Or the word of Christ, whatever. So she called him a brilliant professor of criminology. And criminologists, I will tell you, are not usually honest people. They are liars, sleazy, just every bit as dishonest as the journalists, the MSM, mainstream media, so-called journalists who lie within their journalism and slant and cherry pick to deceive. They themselves are deceived too, about crime and all that stuff. I tell you that because I've read this. I haven't really read the whole book, but Jesse Lee Peterson has interviewed this woman named Heather MacDonald. Heather MacDonald. She wrote this book a few years ago when Black Lives Matter was the first wave of the Black Lives Matter terror ripped apart the nation. She wrote this book called The War on Cops. And she wrote about the Ferguson effect. But she was an honest journalist for the most part, right? And she's debunked the Me Too movement as well, talked about the family. But the average criminologist will say, oh, we don't know what's causing the spike in crime. And they don't want to blame Black Lives Matter or Obama's giving credence to Black Lives Matter or the media hype, which are lies about the Black Lives Matter narrative, right? So anyways, Michelle Malkin, generally very honest, conservative woman, longtime writer, called him a brilliant professor of criminology at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. Not to be confused with Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington, North Carolina, right? I think. I'm assuming. So she says that he was an unapologetic conservative with many books, columns, and speeches. He wrote for townhall.com, which is a very famous conservative website. Headlines include, White Men Can't Breathe, and Why I Can't Get Arrested in Raleigh. North Carolina patriots must stand up to hypocritical governor. Awake for civil liberties. Two kinds of pro-choice advocates. These are like some of the headlines, which don't tell you a lot about him, but long story short, he was fighting against the LGBTQIA plus madness. He was saying that's every bit as bad as rape and other things, which it is. It's a form of evil. And he's spoken for this Summit organization, which is a pretty conservative, Summit Ministries, pro-life, Christian worldview, not for abortion. He's been around for some time. Have you shown pictures of him already? Yes. Okay, cool. There he is, pictured with Michelle Malkin, briefly. And that was from 2018. Nice looking guy, right? Nice looking white man. Looks like he's in his 50s. So news stories revealed this 55-year-old academic and author was found dead of a reported gunshot wound on July 23rd of this year, just a couple weeks ago, in his home in North Carolina. A worried neighbor had called police after receiving no response from him for several days, during which he reportedly had been stressed and acting in an erratic manner. And just a side note, Michelle Malkin, I disagree with her here, but I don't know if she knows the whole story, so maybe that's why she's not focusing on it. She wrote that she didn't want to dwell on how he died, but rather how he lived. But I disagree with her, because it sounds like, and I'll get to it, I'm not sure, but it sounds like, according to what the police believe, that he committed suicide. So if he was stressed and allegedly committed suicide, that's something more important than the fight with the outer world. Because if you haven't overcome within, how are you going to overcome the outer world, right? It's actually, in my opinion, sick to gloss over that, I think. Maybe she doesn't know how to deal with it the right way, or doesn't know for sure that it was suicide or what really happened. Maybe she just wants to present an unbiased view of his known public life leading up to that, which I can definitely support. right? I support her telling the truth about his moral fight because, you know, the mainstream media is going to smear him. They are pro-LGBTQIA madness. And it is madness, which is a disservice to the people who are suffering from this LGBTQ type stuff. The people who give themselves over to that. And they're trying to get more and more kids to do that, by the way. So according to the New York Post, police say that he died by suicide. This guy, Mike Adams, he a little bit more background of nearing the end of his life, which we didn't know it was coming. 55 years old, shooting himself, according to what police think, right? He reportedly reached a $500,000 settlement with UNC, University of North Carolina, Wilmington, and was set to retire August 1st, just a couple of days after he ended up dying. He had been the target of several far-left change.org petitions, far-left website, or frequented by far-left people. I think it was started by far-left people, too, calling for his ouster over so-called misogynistic, xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, racist rhetoric, none of which exist. We all know that, right? In short, it sounds like he was telling the truth in his tweets, right? He called people protesting George Floyd's police custody death in Minneapolis thugs looking for an opportunity to break laws without consequence, which is what they are, many cases. Yes, it is. He was right. His social media presence prompted university officials to denounce his hateful, hurtful language, their words, hateful, hurtful, in a June 5th statement. Cowards, liars. So it sounds like he was getting pressure from the outside, saying that his remarks were absolutely reprehensible but protected by the First Amendment. That's such a pathetic statement. Typical make you want to spit and throw up and cuss university officials, am I right? And this includes Christian universities, but this is a public university. But I'm just thinking about some of the Christian universities, including Azusa Pacific, which I went to, just kissing up to the gays and all that stuff, which is the worst thing that you can do for them. That shows a lack of love for them. Just like where whites who don't tell the truth to blacks, not to spout off at blacks, but to just be patient and loving and tell the truth. Same thing with how you should treat the LGBTQ mad people. And not kiss up, but they have a false version of love, a female-minded version of love. So simple-minded. I was thinking about that woman who called, I mean, some of you guys don't think it was a woman, but I think it was, who called the Jesse Lee Peterson show, thinking, oh, Black Lives Matter. It's a good thing. It's a good statement. And Jesse Lee Peterson's like, what does it mean? Because I've noticed that women and female-minded liberals, there is a right way to be simple. That's the Donald Trump way, the Jesse Lee Peterson way, the Jesus Christ way, and all that. And then there's a wrong way to be simple-minded, where you think, oh, Black Lives Matter. Yes. Science is real. Love is love. They use that term. Love is love to justify degenerate people having perverted sex. They think sex is love. Liars talk about a lie, but because they use simple phrases like love is love. Well, of course love is love, but that's not love. But same thing with the Black Lives Matter thing. They use all these slogans. The science is settled. Former President Obama, the worst, said about climate change, right? Sick people pushing their globalist socialist solutions on you over a pretense that they're going to save the earth or save you from coronavirus and all that stuff. They're just exploiting any opportunity to push their nastiness. So Mike Adams was one of the people fighting against the madness. But it doesn't sound like if he committed suicide, he did not overcome his own madness within. So Adams' neighbors, they called him a affable person who kept to himself. And You know, university officials on June 29th announced that Adams decided to retire, effective August 1st, in light of public attention generated by his contentious social media posts. So he's not allowed to tell the truth online. It's causing too much heat for the university. He has to keep it private. Here's and you know why they do that is because people have this false reality of a university professor is an authority. A criminologist is an authority. And so since he was a man of authority or a person in a worldly position of fake authority, they didn't want any credence given to the truth, the conservative truth, the truth of conservatism. So they had to attack. So commie, right? So anti-American. And then they pretend, and then they give lip service to the First Amendment, but you got to resign because of we can't take the heat. You're bringing too much attention. Weak. Very weak. But supposedly, you know, the universities are supposed to be very vigorous. They're not. They're pathetic. Here's a quote from a neighbor, Brian Hanley. I was interested in talking to him once I found out exactly what he was all about. I was like, how do you handle that much pressure on you? You know, nationwide, people turned against you. How do you handle something like that? How do you handle that kind of stress? Obviously, I wish none of this happened. It shouldn't happen to anybody, no matter how controversial you are. So that's a sane-sounding person, right? But according to what the police say, it looks like he killed himself. He wasn't ready. He wasn't up for that fight. And, you know, we're not going through, you and I aren't going through anything onto that level of attention and attacks, right? Maybe some of you guys are. But you have to be, I don't know about calling him doer of the word if he killed himself in the heat, you know? So, reminds me of this Jordan Peterson guy who's really going through it. And by the way, conservatives are so weak. This guy, I'm not necessarily saying that the stuff that he said was weak. I'm just saying that it is weak to commit suicide. Not right. But Revolver says that there's sad sack conservatives who are honored John Lewis more than they did Phyllis Schlafly. Schlafly. S-C-H-L-A-F-L-Y. Phyllis Schlafly. The great Phyllis Schlafly. Beautiful woman. Seemed to have real love. Fought against the ERA, Equal Rights Amendment. Fought against subsidized housing, which is a bad thing. Subsidized housing. Which only raises the cost of housing. She was a right person. She died a few years ago now. But she loved Jesse Lee Peterson. She didn't hate men. She was right on. And John Lewis hated men, hated females, hated the gays because he kissed up to them. He supported the LGBTQ special treatment for them, which is the worst thing you can do for them and for the rest of society too. It's an evil thing that he supported. Abortion like crazy. Sick person, John Lewis. No hero. What a sick man. Nasty. We're at the top of the hour. I got to take a quick break. I'm going to touch on some other things. I want to tell you a little bit about Michelle Obama. I'm going to play a longer clip than what you heard on the Jesse Lee Peterson show because it's just so ridiculous the way that they covered this story. I think it was NBC. But first, a couple of minutes, just 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll be right back, guys. It is 10:02 a.m. Hang tight. I'll be right back. No, I'm ready. I am back, guys. What's up? Thank you for joining. Shout out to everybody on the D Live and YouTube and Periscope and Twitch and Facebook. No longer on Mixer because Mixer got bought by Facebook and they became Facebook Gaming. Psh, weak. I'm going to get to Rick in Maine in a sec. But I want to tell you guys, and the rest of the callers too, I want to tell you guys about this person. You know, I was telling you about how the NRA in Hake News, check it out if you missed it, or just, you know, look it up. They're attacking the NRA. And you know, it's when the NRA, what's the three? What's the three? The NRA is the National Rifle Association. They've been around forever. And far be it from me to attack them not rightly, right? But at times I sense that they are a little rhino, a little bit establishment, right? There's another organization called Gun Owners of America that's been around since, I think, the 60s. And they're a little bit more solid in their values. Maybe Larry Pratt was head of their organization. Great guy. But, you know, of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre has been a great guy. Seemingly, as far as I can tell, you know. Stuff that he made a great statement after the, you know, a school shooting, right? This mass school shooting by, I think it was Adam Lanza. Adam Lanza, is he the one that shot up the kids? Whatever. It was in December 2012 or something along those lines, right? And so he says after this shooting, right? Because they're trying to blame the guns rather than blaming the degeneracy of the culture. Somebody pointed out in the YouTube chat, I think I have this screen. I took a screenshot because it's such a just common sense statement, but it bears repeating. Dr. Love says, if people refused to riot and loot and murder, we wouldn't have to worry about a police state ever. And that is true. I think that's true. It definitely gives the police state-minded people an excuse to become a police state. The rioting, and that's why I think that partly why, it's very convenient, right? As you demoralize and make immoral the society, they're more immoral, they're more out of control, they're less free, because you have to clamp down on them. Freedom is for moral people. You can't have freedom without morality, it says. So, anyways, Wayne LaPierre, he said this famous line in response. He had this great speech. I think it was great, as I recall, right? He had this great speech, and he had this famous line. Wayne LaPierre, right? He was CEO of the NRA, right? He's the way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And that's true. And if you have an armed population, you don't have to wait however many minutes that it takes to get the cops over there after everybody's dead and robbed and raped and whatever else, right? If you have an armed and competent population, which is what the NRA supports, you don't have to wait for that stuff. And that was common sense. And they hate that he told common sense. They've been going after the NRA for ages. I'm a member of the NRA. I support them. On a moral level, I support whatever they're pushing that's for what's right, right? Sometimes they may back some rhinos, right? And I don't like that. And I have supported Gun Owners of America, too, a little bit more conservative, but lesser known. Larry Pratt, another good guy. There's this guy who's a British guy who was host of a CNN show for a little while there called, who's that British guy's name who writes articles in Daily Mail now, and he pretends like he likes Trump, pretends like he sees the attack on men, but then kisses up to the phony idea of racism. Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan was interviewing all these people. He interviewed Alex Jones. He interviewed Ben Shapiro. He interviewed Larry Pratt. He interviewed that guy who's the author of More Guns, Less Crime, which is true, Dr. John R. Lott Jr. He interviewed Jesse Lee Peterson about the Trayvon Martin case. He interviewed Jesse Lee Peterson a couple of times, I think, during those years. And again, more recently with Good Morning Britain. And then he kicked him off the show for telling the truth about how who founded Black Lives Matter, the black lesbians and homosexuals and white social justice warriors. You're descending in some very unpleasant dialogue or whatever. It's not appropriate for national news. Can't tell the truth. It's considered hate speech because they hate the truth. But Piers Morgan, a sick person. But it was kind of fun seeing him go up and be interviewed by interview all these conservatives on CNN. At least they gave a platform to actual conservatives on CNN. Not anymore, for the most part. But now they have far left people. Google Letitia, Letitia, Letitia James, the black female attorney general of New York, who's suing the NRA to try to break them up. She wants them, they're a nonprofit organization, right? Millions of people donate to them, I think, right? Millions of people? Is it millions? I'm pretty sure. But there has been a constant, endless smear campaign against them. She's the Attorney General of New York, huh? A far-left person, no doubt. And she accused the Wayne LaPierre of using the nonprofit as his personal piggy bank. Hair and makeup products for his wife, according to her, right? Look at her, please. Is that Loretta Lynch next to her, with her back to the camera, swearing her in? Sick. I think it is. This woman is not for what's right. And she cites a whole bunch of cliches about no one is above the law. She's acting like that. Is that her next to the CNN guy? Joel says, that's a big woman. Yeah. Not big spiritually, though. She's an evil person. But Joelle just showed a picture of her next to, there she is in her desk, acting all important. She was next to that guy who everybody hates from CNN, Jim Acosta, who's all self-important and grandstanding against Trump all the time. So she's like saying, it's clear that the NRA has been failing to carry out its stated mission. Yeah, right. She doesn't care about the NRA's mission. She's trying to separate the people from NRA, the decent people who support the NRA. So support Gun Owners of America, but Wayne LaPierre, I don't know that I believe anything from these people. Innocent unless proven guilty. They're just alleging that he got like a $17 million severance package or whatever. I don't know, and I don't care, because these people are not for the actual law. And somebody was pointing out, how come they're not I think Mike Cernovich pointed out and others, how come they're not investigating the Clinton Foundation? Or, Burisma with Joe Biden. These people aren't for what's right. And there's a whole other lawsuit by D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine, R-A-C-I-N-E, Karl with a K, who's also a Democrat, just like Letitia James. Letitia James is a black female Democrat. What's Karl Racine? I just have to see what these people are. It's just kind of interesting to see what. Oh my gosh, she's black too. This guy is black too. What the heck? Of course, right? D.C., Washington D.C. has a heavy black community, and it is crime-ridden. And then it has a bunch of politicians and uppity whites, like the Comet Pizza types, radical liberal homosexuals. Comet Pizza is run by the guy who was former boyfriend's gross, right, with David Brock, who's a far-left guy. Did you know that? Jim Elefantis or whatever that guy's name is, the owner of Comet Pizza, the center of the Pizzagate controversy, which is not even the center. It was just mentioned, right? Whatever. Bunch of gross people, regardless of whatever happened with this Pizzagate thing. But, yeah, that's D.C. It's the swamp. Suckers. I'm referring to the people who support guys that get to be Attorney General of D.C., Carl Racine. Did you find a picture of Carl Racine? Karl, new word, Racine. Carl Racine. I Googled it myself, but I forgot that you guys may not have been able to see that. A black dude. And he's suing the NRA Foundation, which makes a business of marksmanship and firearm safety. They promote people be responsible with their guns. Has any NRA member ever committed a mass attack? Like one of those mass shootings? I don't think so. This is that guy. Looks like he could be Joel's brother. Evil brother. And Joel's like, Yeah, I agree. I would disavow him too. Oh yeah, that's not Joel. I think they lightened his skin in that other picture. Anyways, well, I mean, regardless, his soul is pure evil. The NRA president is a female, by the way, Carolyn Meadows. But, she's defending the organization. She's right in what she's saying, that this is political. Oh, short-haired old lady. Looks like a no-nonsense woman. I don't support them having a female president, but this looks like a no-nonsense woman, this Carol Meadows. Errol. I just have to show you guys, because I'm so interested in what people look like. I just want to see, what type of person does this, right? Just to see. And she said, the investigation, right in the 2020 election cycle. Sick people. So anyways, I have to cut. If you find a picture of Carolyn Meadows, just put it up there. But I got to move on, because I got to move fast. And then I will get to your super chats. Very interesting super chats. Thank you, guys. Hang tight. But speaking of black females, right? You have these AGs, female-minded liberal AGs, attacking the NRA, which you should support if, use your money wisely, right? But according to NBC, Michelle, too many Carol Meadows. Oh, okay. Oh, that's a good point. But I searched it. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Carolyn. Let me see. Yeah, Carol D. Meadows. Because you have to see a picture of this lady to cut the NRA some slack for having a female president. The executive vice president is that tough guy, Wayne LaPierre, Trump supporter. Yeah, there she is. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate that. I mean, if you have to have a female president, let it be this lady. She looks... I know nothing about her. Oh, my gosh. Hopefully I'm not, humiliating myself because she's, a rhino or something. But anyways, whatever. Moving on. There she is. But, dude, come on. This is a man's job. Michelle Obama is claiming that she's suffering from low-grade depression due to racial inequality and the coronavirus. What a sick person. This is the first lady, former first lady, and you say so-called lady, not because she's not a female. I think she's a female, but because she's not very ladylike in her behavior. She says she has this podcast, the Michelle Obama podcast, that she started. When did she start it? Last month, with an interview with her husband. I'm sure she humiliated him. She said that the coronavirus pandemic has left her with some form of low-grade depression. And, you know, the experts panel, they laid out, oh, you know what, she is trying to push an agenda with this statement. And she may well be.
She knows she's still the boss.
That's Barack saying about Michelle that she knows she's still the boss.
Michelle, the rock of the Obama family.
Sick. And you hear so-called Christians saying this stuff. Please. And I've heard blacks criticize whites as doing this, as being, you know, whipped by their wives. Barack was doing this too. That must be the white in him. Playing around. But she said, not just because of the quarantine. Oh, no, you know what? Let me just play this clip from NBC so-called news, which is a far-left outlet. But I have this clip that was put together by, I think it was by NBC News, or it might have been, I don't know, one of those. But it is from the NBC News website. This is the clip of them reporting about Michelle Obama, and you hear a little bit of Michelle Obama in her own voice. You have it? Yeah. Listen to this.
I am Michelle Obama, and this is the Michelle Obama Podcast.
Using her very public platform, Michelle Obama is discussing what's often a very private topic, mental health, including her own.
I know that I am dealing with some form of low-grade depression, not just because of the quarantine, but because of the racial strife.
Talking with journalist and close friend Michelle Norris, the former First Lady taking a swipe at the current White House.
Just seeing this administration, watching the hypocrisy of it day in and day out is dispiriting.
While opening up about her personal struggles during quarantine.
There have been periods throughout this quarantine where I just have felt too low. You know, I've gone through those emotional highs and lows that I think everybody feels, where you just don't feel yourself.
At times, losing sleep, not wanting to work out. Especially troubling, she says, the racial injustices.
It is exhausting, and it has led to a weight that I haven't felt in my life in a while.
Heavy, she says, but still hopeful.
The depth, the sustained vigor, the diversity, the peaceful nature of these protests, that helps me sleep at night.
So how does she deal with it? Sticking to a routine is key, she says, as well as knowing herself and what brings her joy.
I fought to continue to find a way to stay connected to the people in my life who bring me joy, and my girlfriends, my husband, my kids. It's the small things. It's the small rituals, right?
Depressing just hearing her.
For me, there's no magic to it, but it is effort, right? Because you have to recognize that you're in a place, a bad place, in order to get out of it.
Sick. No life.
And she ends the podcast by giving some more advice on dealing with these tough times, but speaking specifically to the people she says are out there pushing for change. She tells people to listen to your spirits, listen to your bodies, and when you need a moment to recharge, take that moment and do not feel guilty about it. Certainly good advice for all of us, Savannah.
Blaine, Alexander Blaine, thank you.
Look at these women. These are the reporters. I had to show you their faces with their mouths tightly lipped with this fake smile. Certainly good advice for all of us. That's gross. Totally fake. And you know, you heard Michelle Obama. There's completely lying about the protests, the peaceful nature of the protests. The peaceful nature of protests, the only peaceful protests that I've seen have been the Tea Party protests. There have been no, and you know, the pro-gun protests. And the alt-right when Antifa's not allowed around, which doesn't happen actually. And the beautiful straight pride parade protests, those are peaceful because they're for what's right on a spiritual level. And they are actually peaceful There's no rioting. There's no setting fires and stuff. Sometimes you'll have Antifa come in and we'll yell at them and they'll yell back and we'll yell back. And that's fun. Yeah, exactly. How do you just totally deny the riots? And yeah, businesses burning. White businesses burning, which is awful. Black businesses burning, which is awful. I see signs still, black-owned business on the boarded-up shops. Well, actually, I still see a plywood in one shop that says, "We stand with you." I'm looking at the neighborhood around here when I'm walking by businesses. I take walks, you know. Joel was all impressed yesterday with me. And he was going to only be impressed if I kept walking for 6 months. But he's like, give me a little encouragement. Anyways, she's talking about blacks being wrongfully arrested, killed, or dehumanized. What's more dehumanizing than calling people Nazis or racists? What kind of human being could be a racist, judging people only because they're black or only because they're not white? Nobody thinks like that. Everybody thinks based on evidence, how they either evidence or lies. And sometimes there is a true stereotype, and sometimes there is a false stereotype. There are true stereotypes that hold up, generally speaking. That's why they become stereotypes. Or also there's a lie that's repeated, and that's how false stereotypes come up. The false stereotype of America is racist, for example. Or men are rapists, or whites are mass shooters, or whites are the only ones committing suicide, whatever. But this woman says, I'd be remiss to say that this depression is also a result of what we're seeing in terms of protests, the continued racial unrest that has plagued this country since its birth. What a sick woman. This is the same woman who said, for the first time in my adult life, I am really proud of my country. And that's after her husband won the Democrat nomination against probably Joe Biden and others. I forget. Oh, yeah, she won against Hillary. I mean, he oh, Barack. He's a female-minded person, so maybe I should say her. And then she's the high rates of black men in prisons, economic disparity. Yeah, right. She's like filthy rich. And the lack of access to quality health care were among the examples Obama pointed to. She shouldn't worry her pretty little head, or maybe not so pretty little head, or maybe not so little of a head. Big head. Not as big as Jesse's, though. But Jesse is not big-headed in the sense of big ego. This woman is. And she doesn't care about, I mean, she might care, but she doesn't have any love for black people. It's fake. Otherwise, she wouldn't be lying to them and lying to the world about America. Gross. She said, the reaction to it on all sides, referring to her Obama getting elected, the vast discomfort with the notion that a black man, and of course NBC News capitalizes the word black, man could be sitting in the highest level of office. We saw that. We saw the signs. We saw the nooses. The nooses were for treason. Or, you know, they were sometimes hoaxes, right? And they were for people didn't like what he was doing. They didn't like what he was about. It wasn't that he was a black man. If he were a decent black man, there would be nooses from the Democrats trying to hang him. Of course, he wouldn't have won if he were a decent guy. So, thank God that America woke up and elected Trump. It's gross. Michelle spoke with Washington Post opinion journalist and friend. They called her Michelle Norris for some reason. But it's gross. And to me, it's like spreading misery. You know, listening to her, there's no light coming in. You know, when you listen to the Jesse Lee Peterson show, it is so, even when he's reporting bad news, it's like uplifting, hopeful, true, solutions, pointing you back to yourself rather than this misery that she's spreading. Talking about my girlfriends, my husband, my daughters. How exploitative of a woman she is. Nasty. So, really evil person. Always has been. Oh, and by the way, something else that they claimed about her was that she was, this was written by a woman named Linda Givtash. Far left female, a white woman. I think I have a screenshot of her. London-based producer, Linda Givtash. It's in that Michelle Obama folder. Yeah, look at that. That woman, she's a London-based producer for NBC News. And listen to what she said. Both Obamas, referring to Barack and Michelle, have been subject to right-wing attacks and abuse online. So writes this woman. So says her. Such a lie. The Obamas abused America. We did not do anything to them. We may have talked about them. We may have talked about them like a dog. Some of you guys even call Michelle a man. But that's not abuse. You could call that an attack, right? That's an attack to call Michelle Obama a man. But other than that, they have been criticizing them based on their evil behavior, their evil mindset, their evil slurs upon America. These are the people who attacked Americans. That is Barack and Michelle Obama. Calling us racist for disagreeing with them? Sick. Talk about anti-American. And so this London-based Linda Givtash, I don't know if she's American or if she's Londonese. That's her? Oh, pretty. But she's an evil person. It's kind of like those tomatoes that are all bright, and then you bite into it, and it's all rotten and moldy. Sick. That's what this woman is. For her to pretend that the Obamas are the victims. No, the Obamas victimized America. But, America kind of brought the Obamas on itself by not standing up in the right way. Anyways, I'm going to get to more of your calls. Oh, my guy from Maine, Rick. Call back. He dropped off. He's a trucker. Sometimes he goes through spotty areas. But it's sick. It's like the whole establishment is against what's right. It's not like they are. They just outright are. I called today Twitter the establishment far left media outlet, Twitter. Yeah, they let you tweet a little. If you tweet too much truth, they'll knock you out. Or if you're too against, I don't know, the POCs or the women or whatever, you'll get knocked out. But they're suspending Trump and everything. Let me read some super chats though. Just saying says, don't be a beta. Watch Hake on D-Live. I think he's calling out KT, who says that D-Live is too gamerish for him. Which, I don't know, I can understand it, I guess, if the chat is moving too fast. But yeah, dlive.tv/the Hake Report. Appreciate it. Just saying. Thank you, man, for the diamond. Joe Maddox says, science is real, can't explain transgenders. It also can't explain that human beings getting killed in the womb are human beings getting killed in the womb. They have to call pro-life people anti-abortion. How about do we call it what it is? Anti-killing babies in the womb. That's what they should call it. Since they're able, or CBITW. Since you have to abbreviate because you don't like a lot of words. KB, killing babies in the womb. Yeah. Gross. John WX15 says, black BLM supporters are really jealous of whites. Yeah. In a sense. Yep. True. Joe Maddox says, what's wrong with Michelle Obama? Funniest JLP vid. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one might have the most views. I'm not sure that it does still, but it had a lot of views. What's wrong with Michelle Obama? I think that it's still... What the heck? Ah, okay. I misspelled it. Scared me. YouTube.com/Jesse Lee Peterson 1 is the Jesse Lee Peterson YouTube channel. You click over on videos, and you go to most popular. Most popular with 1.8 million views, Jesse Lee Peterson shuts down Univision reporter. Larry Elder, who appeared at one of the men's conferences in the third one with 1 million views 8 years ago. What's wrong with Michelle Obama? The Jesse Lee Peterson Show. 3-minute video, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Highly recommended. Pretty funny. Yeah. That was created by the old Joel, also known as Andre. Dr. Phil the Showers says, still haven't worn a mask. I will not submit. Wow. Where do you live? Right on. John WX15 gave a diamond and said, Michelle is safe at night. She lives with whites. Mr. Petty says, I'm a truck driver. Nothing to listen to yesterday. Yeah, I know. I did not have a show. Jesse Lee Peterson did have a replays, classics, including the Alex Jones interview. Check it out if you have not already. So, before I get to a little bit more about this establishment social media stuff, by the way, I heard that that Kanye wants Trump to win. He admits he still wants the president reelected. According to Drudge and The Sun, he's running a spoiler campaign to draw votes away from Biden and see Trump reelected. According to The Sun, which is a far-left foreign outlet, UK-based. Kanye wants Trump to win. Yes. What did I say something wrong? Did I misspeak? It's entirely possible for me to misspeak, but Joel said nope. Right on to Kanye. Forget me, jeez. That's what Nick is saying. It's crazy. Jordan B. Peterson, in case you didn't know, he has COVID-19, according to The Sun. His daughter, Michaela, who is, I want to say, as hard to listen to as Michelle Obama. No light in her podcast either. Yeah, but Jordan B. Peterson is going through it. It's true. He had this last month, July 11th, was World Benzodiazepine Awareness Day. And Jordan B. Peterson's daughter, Michaela, Mikhaila, talk about a communist name. Now you know he used to be a communist. I heard that he used to be a communist. I could be wrong. But that's the rumor that I heard, and I don't mind repeating it, but I don't know if it's true or not. Look it up for yourself. But, you know, he's kind of liberal. He was stammering about whether he would have voted for Trump or Hillary. I think he said that he would, I don't know, it sounded like he would be conflicted even at the ballot box, but thank God he's Canadian. That's his daughter, right? Michaela. But, man. Anyways, yeah, he's pneumonia the second time in a year, according to his daughter. 58 years old. Not her, but her father. He's getting better, but he's definitely taken a step back, and it's really unfortunate. It's been a disaster, so she says. Anyways, let me get to some callers. Appreciate you guys hanging on there. Sorry to Rick in Maine. I couldn't get to you. Call again when you can. Maze, my favorite caller in Dayton, Ohio, has an interesting statement that she wants to share with all of us. Maze, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, James.
Happy Men's History Month to you.
Who? I'm not a man.
That's okay. You can celebrate Men's History Month. You don't have to be white to celebrate White History Month.
What I tell you, I celebrate
Birthdays.
Thank you. And remember
That doesn't mean that you
right?
can't change.
Excuse
Just
me?
because you're an old dog doesn't mean you can't learn new
Am I supposed to
tricks.
change because you're a Caucasian telling me to? Or am I?
If you want to obey, are you tempted to obey me because I'm Caucasian?
No, I don't obey. I don't obey no one.
Did you ever?
No, my mother and my father. Yes.
Why would you say because you're
they had
Caucasian?
me. What?
Why would you say because you're Caucasian you think I have to obey you?
That's the question I asked you.
I said no, not necessarily, but because I'm an authority. You can obey me because I'm Caucasian, though.
Authority over what?
Authority over you.
Really? You want to be?
Wow.
My brain is too heavy for that. But anyway, the reason I called was KT was saying that he lives in a neighborhood and he party with Caucasians and this and that.
Right.
So
Are you jealous?
When they get drunk and they want to touch you and touch your hair and do all these different things.
Don't be. You know you're flattered. You know you're flattered.
I don't drink. No, I don't like people putting their hands on me. Only reason I like putting their hands on me, my kids and my husband. Anybody else, stay away. They want to touch your hair and rub it, and they just get to drinking and being in parties with them.
Yeah, I don't support getting drunk.
All type of people.
It's not right. You shouldn't do it.
You'll be amazed.
It's only trouble.
You'll be amazed at things you learn from different groups. But if you stay in your own group and in one group that you think own you, you'll never move. And then it gets to Rick wanting to debate me. What do you want to debate me for?
You know, he didn't say what he wants to debate you about. But probably black victimhood.
I don't debate. I have conversations with truth.
Oh, okay.
He want to call it a debate.
All right.
If he want to talk to me about when he's trying to put the black people down and the black community having babies out of wedlock, telling for everyone black when he can find, I can find him 2 Caucasian ones that I know personally that don't have a husband in the house. And all these things he said about black people.
You'll eventually run out, though.
Caucasians that do the same thing. So now what do he do?
Well, the Caucasians, Maze, aren't as well, man. I don't know. I don't know if they're in the same kind of denial that blacks are in, though, Maze.
No, they are in denial.
Let's be.
Can I say something, James?
Yeah.
You said that the guy called you last week. He said he likes Jesse because Jesse say what you can't say. But now he's saying what they want to hear to make.
Who said that?
The one guy that called you last Friday.
Oh.
These are the reason why he.
I disagree with that. We can say the same thing.
You agree with him? He said that thing Jesse can say that you can't say.
No, you're talking about him getting away without being banned for a little while. Well, of course we can say it.
I'm saying talking about.
No, nuh-uh. No, that's what he was talking about. He was talking about avoiding getting banned. Yeah, I mean, he gets a little bit more slack maybe because he's black, but mainly because he's telling the truth in pure love, and that comes through. There are people that tell factual information, and they're mad, and they are being so-called hateful. But the people who are calling hate are the liars, are every bit as hateful, if not more so, than the people that they're calling hateful.
But what I'm saying, you have those group of black people like Rick that tell Caucasians what they want to hear to make them happy.
You really think that that's what Rick is doing?
Like
Mace.
That's what Rick is doing.
You're acting like you're a mind reader. This is so sleazy of you people. Yeah, you're pretending that Rick doesn't really believe what he says.
That's not what I said.
He's only saying this stuff to make white people happy.
That's not what I said, James.
You're implying it.
You got a group that do that. So there's like
name one person that you know that tells the whites what they want to hear to make them happy.
Rick.
See, you don't know that.
And that's why they like it.
You haven't given any proof.
Saying things that if you tell them the truth,
Maze.
and they don't like
Maze. Rick tells what he thinks.
Really. And T, what is his name? Not T, but the one that came on before that was talking about what neighborhood he lived in?
KT.
He won too.
Oh, please.
Did he know? Did they be looking at him?
Now you're a total liar.
No,
KT tells what he thinks, and he disagrees with Jesse sometimes and me.
I'm not
you don't know what you're talking about, Mace.
He was not just talking to you.
What a sleazy liar.
Can I finish, James?
Yeah.
We can sing together, but we can't talk together. The one that tell you he lives in a predominantly white community. Him.
Huh?
And then when
I know,
heard,
but that's not true.
And when I heard Rick say some white
You're just
people,
spouting off lies, Mace.
Can I finish? When Rick said some white people help black people, he didn't know that black people help white people too.
Yeah.
You don't know that?
A little.
What's wrong with his brain?
So what? What's your point? What a silly.
Didn't Jesse help you?
You just want to debate him without debating him. You're coming in here to debate him off air when he's not here to debate with you.
Well, I was not there when he was talking because the last time I wanted to speak to him, you didn't let me. So
I'll let you talk, maybe.
But did Jesse help you?
If you guys promise to be entertaining.
I'm asking you a question. Did Jesse help you?
Of course.
Well then, isn't he black?
Yes.
Thank you.
But his soul is not black like you guys.
He should watch his mouth when he say stuff.
But his soul.
But
But hold on, Maze. His soul is washed white as snow. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to help me.
His what?
His soul is washed white as snow.
No, when you die, you turn dark. So don't tell me that. I don't know where your soul.
What are you
goes,
talking
but
about?
You don't have a soul. But that's not why I called you. I called to tell you that the black people don't need Caucasians to help them out. Some help each other, and some think that you need.
Then how come they're
help.
begging?
Because I told you the first person that hired me was not a Caucasian.
How come they're begging, Maze?
What?
They're protesting because they want whites' help.
Really? Those
Yes.
that want help. Well, some people don't protest because they want white help. Some people protest because they just want a piece to just be in the door. Or to get what they need, not get redlined to get stuff.
Get what they need. That's
Like
from
you go
whites.
To the bank and get
That's
a loan.
from whites,
You go to
Maze.
the bank. No. You go to the bank and get a loan. You get a lower interest rate than I do. But you got people that are working in the bank showing you what's happening.
Whatever.
So what are
Anyways,
you supposed to do about that?
I
Don't
gotta
you want
go.
to have equal? Don't you have people that have the same thing you do? Or either when your kid goes to jail.
Because I'm
If you
not
had a kid, he
I'm
would
not
go to
really
jail. He would
motivated
go to
by
jail. He
jealousy or envy like you
No,
people.
If you had a kid and he did something, he don't go to jail. He get his record expunged. But the other black kids go to
Maze,
jail.
calm down.
When you have friends, James, you see things like this.
No.
But
Maze,
if you
you're
don't
being
have
silly.
friends
You're
and
being
you see
silly.
things and things go like this, you don't see it.
You're
You
being
be left-
silly, Maze.
You be left like Rick, saying what y'all want to hear to make y'all happy. But
Maze-
they don't never, and I can care less. if
Maze,
like,
you do
I
not have any love for the black people that you're pretending to defend.
Excuse me.
You do
I'm
not have
defending
any
them.
love for black
I'm
people.
I'm not defending. I'm just telling you, all black people. Are
I
not
know,
the
but
same.
you're
I'm
not. You don't
like
have
Rick.
any love. You're just pushing phony
Really?
lies.
I told you I have 300 and some people in my family that I know personally.
That's
so you don't
too
tell me
many.
That I don't like black people.
That's too many. That's a typical woman.
I know you don't like that number. But talking about one person that can keep you with that many people. So you don't tell me who I like and who I don't like. So tell
I
Rick
didn't
he
say
can
like.
tell
You
me
may
about-
like
I
them, but you don't
I
have any love for them because
don't
you're
deal with
repeating this talk
NAACP.
about. Oh,
don't
white
deal with
people
those
are gonna
groups.
get their record expunged if they commit crimes,
They do.
but
No,
blacks
that's not
not
what I
gonna.
said. I said when
That's
you- I said
because
when
they
they
handle
kids
their
do-
business right, Maze.
Is it true or not, James?
If they handle their business right, I suppose it
I'm
might
not
be.
talking about the business.
If
I'm
blacks,
saying-
hey, hold on, Mace, be quiet. If blacks handled their business right, then they would be able to get their record expunged too. Now,
No, I'm asking you the question: is it true or not?
It's
The
not
kids,
true.
the white-
It's not
the
true.
Caucasian kids get their records expunged and they can commit a crime.
it's not true.
Yes, it is true.
No,
And you know it. 'Cause you
no,
probably
because
it's not
you're
happening to you.
you're leaving. You're not telling the whole truth.
Well, then what is the whole truth?
The whole
How do
truth
you get
is
the records expunged?
they handle their business right. I gotta go, Mace.
Yeah, I
You
know
have a good
do.
day.
So a lot of us don't tell you what you want to hear to make you happy.
You have
So
a
y'all
good
just
day.
Use your brain and your heart, and you will turn to be something good.
You don't know
And
what
Michelle
you're talking
is
about.
happy, and there's nothing wrong with her. And stop being envy of her. That's the
You're calling her a
problem.
liar? You're calling her a
What?
liar?
I said stop being envy of Michelle.
You called her a liar because she said she has low-grade depression. That doesn't sound happy.
Low-grade depression. Look at
Low-grade
some
depression
things
is
you
not
see.
happy, Maze.
Some things that you see.
You're calling her a liar.
No, that's
I
not
called
what
her
I'm
a
saying.
liar. We agree.
What?
We
I didn't call her a
agree.
liar. There's a lot of people in America.
No, you called
like
her a
that.
liar. You said that she's happy.
She is happy.
No,
You can
she
be
has
depressed and be
low-grade.
happy at the
She
same
has
time.
low-grade depression, Maze.
And then you say Kanye gonna pull somebody from somewhere.
I gotta
Kanye
go.
Man is not all together.
You have a good day.
Oh yeah, you have one too.
All right, thank you. It's like a maze. M-A-Z-E is how you spell it. Believe it or not, it's not M-A-I-Z-E or anything like that. It's M-A-Z-E, and that's what she leads you through if you let her lead. And I did let her lead. Anyways, guys, before I get back to calls, let me quickly remind you about what social media is doing. Facebook is doing this. Twitter is doing this. They're shutting down even President Trump. He shared something about, the children are practically immune to it. Not completely, but practically. So he said that in this video, in an interview with Fox and Friends, right? I remember hearing it live on Fox and Friends before the Jesse Lee Peterson show started. And Twitter and Facebook both took that down because they said, oh, he's falsely claiming that a group, meaning the children, is immune to coronavirus, which is not true. It's hurtful. These people are hiding behind their fake worldview in order to clamp down on the election. And you know, Google, didn't somebody at Google say, we can't let 2016 happen again? And that's what they're doing. They're censoring Jesse Lee Peterson from streaming until the end of October. They're censoring so many people. They've kicked off so many people. Twitter, I heard that they even banned David Duke. Usually they let David Duke talk because they try to say, oh, he's a representative of the Republican Party. It's crazy. He is a representative of Trump, and Trump wouldn't denounce him. I would denounce the mainstream media quicker than I would denounce David Duke because the mainstream media is more destructive. And then, yeah, if he's a hateful person, all right, him too. I don't know much about him. He seems like he's just spouts off the talking points, like I said in interviews. And these people are evil people. They're worse than him. Oh, hoity-toity. Let me get to Robert in Kansas. Robert, it's good to hear from you. What's up?
Hey, Hake, it's arm day, man. I'm a little out of breath, but
you been exercising?
Yeah.
Nice.
First of all, Hake, real quick on the mask thing, I want to read one line out of the Bible, Corinthians 11:7.
You're referring to masks, as in coronavirus, cover your face masks?
The covering, yeah, the veil or the covering of faces,
okay,
as the Bible says.
All right.
So one of the lines from Corinthians 11:7 says, "For a man ought to not cover his head, since he is the image and glory of God, but a woman is the glory of man." So basically, gentlemen, if you're wearing a mask out there, you're in a sinful state. You're in a sinful way. You're not supposed to cover your face. Women, on the other hand, they talk about it in here. They have long hair. They talk about women's long hair,
right,
and how that's supposed to be used to kind of cover their beauty, along with other things they talk about, where women covering their face isn't necessarily seen by God as being an issue, because they're supposed to be modest and the image of man, not the image of God. And so, just to all the men out there, you're wrong. If you're out there in a mask, you're wrong. And
but how about if you're mowing the lawn and you have to wear one of those dust masks or whatever?
Well, yeah, Hake, if you're going to rip some sheetrock off your basement wall too, right? Anything you're doing, you don't want dust in your lungs. I'm not saying that there isn't an application for these things.
So let's say if you're on a subway with a bunch of strangers and you want to protect yourself and protect others from you, whatever, and you wear a face mask in close quarters around these people, is that a sin?
Well, Hake, I'm saying what it says in the Bible, that if a man conceals his identity from others,
it sounds like you either don't want to answer or you're not sure about that case.
I guess I'm not sure.
Okay.
In the sense that I'm not saying that maybe it's some situation, I wouldn't do the same thing to cover your face to avoid breathing something in.
Or let's say in a store that says face masks required, would you go in if a store requires it and say you need to get something from that store? Would you wear a face mask?
Here's the thing, Hake. Here's the thing. Almost every corporation, including Walmart and all these people, anyone with sufficient legal counsel is going to have exemptions in their mandate. Right, so they're going to say if you're under 2 years old. Yeah, if you're under 2 years old,
you can say I have a medical issue.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about mom and pop shops.
Well, if you upset the person who owns it, then I don't really know what your option is. Period. Because
right.
They could say as a store policy you have to have a mask. Now,
right.
If they consult their legal counsel is going to tell them, well, you open yourself up to liability and tort. And you need to put in exemptions and a clause that basically says if you feel like this is harmful to your health, you don't have to wear a mask.
I don't know. I wouldn't take it that far. But you think that that's a sin to... I mean, I wouldn't wear a mask out in the sunshine or in the fresh air, of course. I think the people who do that, I see a lot of people doing it. I don't know if it's just laziness. They don't want to take it off, but it seems to me uncomfortable. But I don't know if it's a sin. It seems like it's reaching.
All right, hey, well, let's move on. I want to talk about this Lebanon Beirut port.
Yeah.
It was a bombing.
Did I give you a picture of that bomb? I don't know if I gave a picture of that bombing.
Hey, you're interrupting the hell out of me, man.
Okay, go for it.
I think it was a tactical nuclear weapon that was dropped on that location. I've seen several of them go off, and it looks just like it. And they talk about it's some sort of accident. Well, on some level, I hope it was an accident. But everything I've seen, Hake, the position of the attack, like if you look, it's right in the center of the port of Beirut, right in the center. If you want to destroy the whole thing, there's just so many things pointing to an act of war. Beirut recently sided with Damascus, sided with Baghdad, sided with Tehran.
Wow.
They said that Israel can't have the whole Middle East, right? Evil Israel, right? So I believe that that's what occurred. Is it was a retribution for them. It was a Jewish attack up on the Christian nation of Lebanon for
Lebanon
not going
is Christian?
along. Well, it's more Muslim than anything now, but it used to be almost all Christian before they started going after them, right, in the area there.
Well, let's stay away from. It's best not to speculate, but but I do agree with not necessarily believing these people because they're not gonna. They don't seem like. It doesn't seem like you'll ever really get the real truth about what happens in these places and in these these big events because people have such an agenda. It sounded like Trump thought it was based on what his generals were saying that it sounded like a bombing of some sort. So. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see if anybody changes course based on intimidation or whatever. But since nobody's claiming it, I don't know. It's crazy.
Hey, there's video, Hake. I want to let you know that real quick. There is some video that shows a missile coming in.
Yeah, I saw that. Was that real?
Okay. Well, Hake, I don't have the equipment or know how to ascertain whether that video had been tampered with.
Yeah.
But if it is real, people do have that ability, and I hope we're gonna find out. And if someone dropped a nuke on them, man, then this is World War III kicking off, and expect other similar attacks on our ports, on ports around the world, or anything else similar for an economic military attack, man. And they could blame it on anybody, right? They could blow up the port of Miami.
I know.
And they could say Iran did it, and then all of a sudden we're going to World War III. So. It's serious business, man.
It is serious business, and it's interesting. I mean, any time that this may happen, it's interesting timing, right? But it's wild. Appreciate the update, Robert, and the opinions. Take care.
All right, hey, have a good one. Bye.
All right. Crazy. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is, and it sounds like even Trump doesn't know what the truth is, right? He said. Based on how his people were talking, that it sounded like a bombing. But the Lebanese people, they're saying it was poorly stored, whatever that stuff was. I forget what it was called. Mo Betta Stand-Up gave a super chat saying that stuff is quite stable. It must have been burning hot. It must have been... it sounded like he may have even thought that it was on purpose. I don't know if it was on purpose or accident. There is almost like when you have a corrupt country, and I don't know much about Beirut or Lebanon. I know that there was a war, right, from 1975 to 1990, right? Wasn't there something like that? A crazy civil war, 15 years long? How long did the American Civil War last? Just a few years, right? Anyways, I don't know if it was a civil war or what, but it's been known to be like a war zone. I can hear Jesse Lee Peterson in my ears talking about, oh, this looks like Beirut out there in Ferguson, Missouri, or Los Angeles with these riots, right? Looks like a war zone. That's what it's referring to. So it's been a place that's been very hot. Mike Holland says, Israel is starting wars? Because a lot of you guys say that Israel is responsible for a lot of these Middle East wars. I don't know. Takes two to tango, right? It takes two to tango. Got to blame all sides for what each side does wrong. Kind of like with what's going on in America. There are good and bad people on many sides, or semi-decent, innocent, let's say, innocent enough, who are mistreated on many sides, Ammonium nitrate is what that stuff was. And yet you have these dumb social media people clamping down on so-called conspiracy theories. They were clamping down on Q. And Q is just, I see it as just this harmless thing where if you go on a pro-Trump live YouTube thing, such as, I don't know, Golden State Broadcasting or whatever, you'll see all these people referencing Q as like there's somebody within the deep state who's actually on our side, as opposed to most of them being liberals, right? And Trump is really going to expose them and stuff like that. And that's considered harmful. Meanwhile, the conspiracy theory of racism and all that stuff is such a lie. And that's far more destructive. That's why I repeated that thing about mainstream media being worse than the white nationalists, which is being called terrorists. You can find some white nationalists who become terrorists, but just the ideology itself being terrorists, the Democrat Party is every bit. Anyways, guys, in less than an hour, you should have the premiere of The Fallen State, thefallenstate.tv, youtube.com/The Fallen State, YouTube premiere, right? No, youtube.com/The Fallen State TV. For that, and then JLP Plays, which will be streaming, but not on the JLP YouTube channel, because he can't stream on the YouTube channel. So make sure you're on DLive, Periscope, etc. Twitch, of course. Facebook, hopefully. Facebook.com/JLP Talk. I think the radio show page is where that is. And then Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, rebuildingtheman.com/church. 11 a.m. we start, unless we're late, but we try not to be late. 10:30, the doors open. You can come in person, or you can watch online, or you can podcast afterwards, which I recommend doing even if you did catch it live. Okay, guys, I gotta end. Take care.
Wow.